All right, guys, continuing with the notes for Chapter 15. And we're kicking off Section 3 here, talking about recording music. There's two ways to record music in stereo. The first one we're going to talk about is total sound recording. Total sound recording involves setting up two microphones, one for the left channel, one for the right channel, and recording a concert. This method is a one-shot deal, and your product is essentially the final version. In other words, you're trying to capture all of the sound in one sitting, where you're getting collectively the audio from the platform, from the performers, and mixing it all into one stereo track. This is used to record at venues in order to hear the ambiance of the setting. So it's really good at kind of capturing perspective relative to where the mics are. It's simpler to set up, obviously, because you only need a couple of microphones. It eliminates issues presented with multiple mics as a result, and it does not impart a perceived artificial sound to the music. You are listening to it from that perspective of one particular location, much like you would when you go to a concert and you're in the audience. You're hearing it from the perspective of wherever your seat is. So total sound recording is that kind of quick and easy, one and done, natural perspective of capturing a performance, like as if we were there personally. In isolated component recording, you set up a number of mics on various sections of the orchestra and mix the inputs with a multi-channel console. This is most common in recording studios to record popular music. It allows for recorded content to be remixed. So this allows for grouping instruments together, grouping vocals together as much or as little as you want to, so that you could have each individual instrument, each individual voice being recorded separately and distinctly, or you can group certain sections of instruments and certain vocalists together as you desire to, but it takes more than just one stereo track to get it done. Some of the techniques used in total sound recording, the pictures that you see on your notes are taken from the textbook, so you can get reference to those and take a look at them to kind of refer back to after the lecture. Setting up coincident microphones involve crossing two cardioid mics, usually at about a 90-degree angle, and this imitates the way the ears hear and results in the kind of sound that you would hear sitting in the middle of a concert hall. One of the things that you have to watch out for is that you want to make sure that the mics are angled in just the right way. If the mic angle is too narrow, the spatial illusion is lost. So you lose that left-right ambiance feel that stereo provides. If the angle is too wide, there's a hole in the middle of the orchestra. You might pick up the sides very well, but you'll lose what's going on in the middle. So you want to be strategic as to how you place those mics to try to capture the essence of everything that's going on. When the mics are parallel, usually 1 to 3 feet apart, you get a very broad sound. This is called spaced pair miking. Having spaced paired mics heightens the stereo effect. When you're using spaced pair miking, always check both the stereo mix and the mono mix to make sure that you are capturing all the sounds that you want to and doing so properly. If when you compare the two you hear a phase cancellation problem, you could hear some of the sound literally drop out in the mono mix. So you want to make sure that you're able to compare those, and if you're seeing that you are getting some dropouts, you may need to adjust the spacing of your microphones in order to be able to fully capture all of the sound that you're trying to record. Then, thirdly, there's middle side miking. This technique involves using a bidirectional microphone to pick up sound from either side with a cardioid mic facing the middle. Middle side miking results in an extremely spacious sound, but it requires a special device known as a phase inverter to add the signals together properly. Where we talked last time about sounds dropping out from the middle, even though you have a mic pointed at the middle, you could still possibly not pick up all the sounds due to certain phasing issues. The bidirectional mic is going to pan full left and full right, and the cardioid mic fills the middle. Makes sense there. This technique can only be used for a stereo mix. So no magnificent mono here. You want to make sure that you are recording in stereo when you do middle side miking. Now, some isolated component recording where you're trying to pick up just one element on each track. Some of the things to keep in mind here, we'll kind of go from instrument to instrument. We'll start with vocals. For singers, although placing the microphone is very important, the key to quality vocal sound is matching the correct microphone to the voice. So if you know that an artist sings very close to the microphone, you want a mic that's going to do well with the proximity effect. If the artist tends to move around and doesn't stay focused on the microphone, you may want something that has a wider pickup pattern. For popular singers, an acoustic filter is frequently put between the vocalist and the mic to minimize the possibility of mic popping or sibilance. These are casually called P-poppers, and they usually tend to look like a windscreen that's placed in between the artist and the microphone, and it does help in taking care of some of those vocal and articulation issues. For drums, many recordists favor a separate mic for each, whereas others prefer to mic the whole drum set from above, often with a crossed pair. Little experimentation will help to determine what is best there, and also considering the style of the drummer, how aggressive they play, if they favor certain aspects of the drum set, that sort of thing. For pianos, a mic pointed towards the lower strings and another towards the higher strings will result in a broad mix of the sound. You can also place a mic over top the piano's opening or at one of the sound holes if you're just interested in getting the piano as a whole. For guitars, you'll want to point a microphone at the loudspeaker that is fed by the guitar, the amplifier, if you will. For brass is usually mic'd near the bell of the instrument. For woodwinds, the sound actually comes from the finger holes. So there's special mics that are used with woodwinds that can actually sit on the instrument to capture that sound. Then for ensembles, you'll probably want to designate a mic for different sections of an ensemble. And depending on the studio acoustics, the selection of microphones available to you, the actual distance between the mic and the instrument may be subject to some trial and error. You're keeping in mind the room that you're in, the setup, the way that sound reverberates in that room, how many different instrumentalists you have, and the instruments themselves, how strongly they play. So, play around with that and do your best to set the mics up in such a way that you can capture the full experience of what is going on. It's a good place for us to take a break. We'll finish up the chapter in the next video.